So we're about to get the fight that I've been waiting for a good while, which is Fern versus Frieren. Now, granted, it is technically a fake, but given that it's a perfect replica, I mean, it's pretty much all you could ask for. And while I don't think Fern is at the point where she could solo Frieren by herself, I've always felt like she's a prodigy, a natural born talent that if she continues to study under Frieren, there's gonna come a point where a student surpasses the master. I really firmly believe that. And I think even Frieren believes that herself. Like, she sees a lot of potential in Fern. And with a 7v1, we have Denkin's group and Frieren's group now joined together because, I mean, you shall not pass. And you shall not pass indeed, because Denkin's group ran, and they just sat there for half the day, because what are you supposed to do when the final boss is at the starting area? Because that's pretty much what we're at. Even if she's like kind of the final boss for this test, this is like stumbling into the final Dark Souls boss when you just started the game. Like, you took a couple of wrong turns and you're like, God damn it, why didn't I go down the other hallway? I'm so interested to see what they're going to do for teamwork, because this episode, I thought they were just going to jump right into it, and then they remind us there's so many different characters, so many different stories. They were all fascinating. The animation continued to getting better and better with time, but most importantly, it leaves you off with a fight that you are excited to see. This show has another month left before we have to say goodbye for season 1, and I think it's going to go out on a bang. I have a full live reaction to today's wonderful free run episode over on my Patreon, so if you want to see my full uncut thoughts, they're over there if you're interested. This was another great episode. I mean, I'm so excited because when you look at how they use the other characters, especially like characters like Ubel, and, you know, the idea of like, what is and isn't a copy? Like, is it a perfect copy? Is it our memories, or is it pretending to have our memories? And I think depending on the characters you ask, they're going to give you two different questions given things that were said. But I think one of my favorite things that I've seen during this exam so far is actually what happened with the kind of exchange of bottle, because what we end up having between Land as well as Ubel is we're dealing with her doppelganger, right? Basically, they both know because they have the same memories. If we get too close or, you know, start moving towards each other, we can freeze each other, and then it's pretty much a stalemate. And the idea that he's just slashed, like, he needs a healing potion ASAP, and she tries giving her bottle, her kind of get out of jail free card, to escape, because, like, you know, there's no point in dying. And he's all like, well, you know, I'm not gonna make it so you don't have it. So she's like, fine, I'll go get yours back. And it's interesting because she asks him dead in the eye, are you a fake? Like, are you a copy? And the thing's like, I don't know. That thing was actually a fake. I didn't see that one coming, because it's interesting with that whole exchange, because it's her not having her bottle to get out of jail, which, you know, she's about to die or anything like that. She can't do, so the real one has to protect her. It's just such an interesting exchange. And just to add, like, it's just so interesting because when you're in the middle of a fake with a labyrinth that's forcing all these fakes around you, and you have a character who can make a perfect doppelganger of himself, that whole exchange just messes with your mind of what is and isn't real, on top of a test that's trying to do that itself, as you basically are now having a guy kind of playing a world like a video game in a way. It's just such a cool exchange that I wasn't expecting in the middle of such a cool test to begin with. And then you look at the couple other fights we got in this episode. I mean, our boys still hold up behind that rock wall that he summoned, and the idea of like shattering the ceiling in order to kind of like get the jump on them, very clever. But the coolest fight was the hair drills of death, which, Jesus Christ, man. The character we're hoping comes down so we can use her like words of like making them bend the knee. Yeah, she ain't coming after that whole exchange. Like, when she got shot through the chest, I was like, what are we watching here? Because you're not I feel like the way Frieren pulls the rug from under your feet, it's in a way that it's not like you typically expect. Usually if a character is going to get skewered, it's a lot more dramatic, or I feel like it's a little more predictable, or you think, oh, it's going to happen in 2 minutes. She gets shot through the chest in a way that just, I didn't feel like there was any signs that it was going to happen. And then when she drops her bottle, because what the hell are you supposed to do? The golem thing, I thought it was bending the knee to say, yes, mistress, whatever you want. No, it was just protecting, but, you know, at this point, I'm just on edge. I'm like, I don't know what the hell's gonna happen, but Jesus Christ, man. It is so cool to see how all these examees, right, like, they're all giving it their all. And I think one of my favorite things is that, for the viewer, we're hearing a lot of the same things that we've already heard from different characters, But when we remember that this is like their first exchange with a doppelganger, they don't know, is it actually a perfect copy? Does it have our memories? Does it have all of our abilities? Does it think exactly like us? Like, you'll hear characters say the same things over the past 2 episodes, but it just shows that they all have the same thought of, this is actually frightening, and it really paints just how perfect of a copy it actually is. Because when they say it last week, you know, I believed it, but I could see how people maybe could argue like, well, it's not really a perfect copy, it's more of this or that. I feel like after that whole exchange, it just kind of cements it, and we're realizing more and more how teamwork is so important, which gets talked about at the start of this episode about why this test is such a perfect one for a pacifist like her, because ultimately, like, you know, if you just throw someone who's literally identical at each other, you could flip a coin 1,000 times, and 500 times the real one will win, 500 times the fake one will win. Small deviations that might, you know, cause like luck or something to happen, but it's not because one's actually stronger than the other. That's why teammates, as we saw with Ubel or any of the other characters that have been able to stomp on people, are so important. You throw a Frieren versus Frieren, I mean, the real one might win, or the fake one might win. There's no guarantee. It's like, they're truly equal, right? Like, they can think the exact same and they can come up with the same plan. So by having that, like, okay, this is going to be a great moment for Fern to shine because she's really come a long way. She's incredibly talented, and this is a great challenge for her because she respects Frieren so much. And, you know, the fact that Frieren is just, like, when Fern says that she can beat Frieren, she's just happy. She's proud of her. Like, go get them, girl. Like, I believe in you. I think you can as well. It's gonna be very fun to see what they do because we essentially are at the Dark Souls boss fight here, and who knows what's happening. Are all 7 of them going to make it through there? Probably not. At least one's gotta fall and have to break their bottle, I imagine. But if all 7 of them succeed, am I gonna be salty? No, I think it'd be incredible. But it definitely flexes why having a team is important, and I think for Denkin, he's probably very happy that on one hand, his most hated thing to stumble across, being Frieren as the final boss, is there. On the flip side, he does have the real thing as now a team, and he's like, well, maybe I don't have to break my bottle after all. It's kind of hilarious. This was a very exciting episode, a lot of twists and turns, the emotion was high, and honestly, they snuck in some fun comedy as well. I love the idea of Mama Fern just dragging Frieren back, and for like a solid minute and a half or something, maybe 2 minutes, you just see her holding her tight with her grumpy face, and I'm like, oh my god, the way Frieren and Fern go from like, who's the mother mentor in the relationship and who's the child, it bounces back and forth, but leave it to Fern to always be there for her child Frieren slash mentor Frieren slash mother Frieren. It's an interesting dynamic, to put it nicely, but I'm excited. I think the end of whatever this is going to be spicy, and who the hell knows what they're going to do for the 3rd test, but I'm excited. Let me know what you thought down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course, ring that bell so you get notified when I upload more, and like I mentioned, we have that full live reaction over on my Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. So today we got Valrix, Adam Dundorf, David Story, and Athmil, so I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.